So, Mario Galaxy the movie. The Mario movie was one of those flicks that, at the time, I found entertaining but shallow. Yet, the more I thought about the details, the angrier I got, especially after I watched it again with friends. Mario Galaxy is a bizarre case, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The Super Mario Galaxy movie is a direct sequel to the Mario movie, and sports the same team of directors, writers, and actors trying to be voice actors. Chris Pratt as Mario, Jack Black as Bowser, and so on, with new additions to the cast. This time around, the story is kicked when Rosalina, Princess of the Stars, voiced by Brie Larson, is kidnapped by Bowser Jr., voiced by Benny Safdie, who wants to use her as a fuel for his cannon. One of her Lumas escapes and warns Princess Peach. Now she must go save her sister. For the visuals, Nintendo would do a lawyer orbital bombardment on Illumination Studios if the visuals weren't pristine, and yeah, it's true. As it goes with these AAA productions, visuals were further refined from the last installment. We have better lighting effects this time around, smoother movement, and more dynamic camera. More money also means more locales, ranging from different planets, lava spots, space stations. Everything is bright and colorful, and also completely, absolutely chock full of references everywhere. With more money, also came more designs and more references coming from several spots, but that much was given. And the camera work isn't shabby either. There are some genuinely nice shots, like the sequence where Yoshi explains his story, that was quite good, simple and interesting. So to the surprise of no one, the visuals are the brunt of this flick and the best part by a long mile. In the acting department, yeah, this will be a short review, mostly because I'm comparing it to the original movie and there isn't much to say in this aspect. The action doesn't fall behind a lot either, also improved from their first movie. They are surprisingly good, fluid, you can see what's going on, no shaky cam, and a decent pace, enabling some visual jokes that actually made me chuckle. In fact, these action sequences can be surprisingly long without any cuts. The choreography also got a vast improvement, with everyone kicking, punching, and using any pieces of the scenario and power-ups at their disposal. The brothers' first fight against Koopa Jr. is one of the highlights of the movie for me. Now, on the writing aspect, this was a weird movie to tackle because on one corner I had people saying that this movie was infinitely superior to the first one, to the point it was like being tickled by Cape Feathers, while others said that it was as awful as Hotel Mario. And, in a sense, both are right and wrong at the same time. This is still an Illumination special, so be prepared for anything remotely cute to be insanely annoying. I was fed up with the Lumas 3 minutes into the movie, I actually counted. Sarcasm will be plentiful as weirdness in Kojima Productions, but the gist is that this is still a light, very light adaptation of both Mario Galaxy mixed with Mario Sunshine. And both these games are simple adventure stories where protagonist has to reach the goal going through some hurdles. In Galaxy, Mario has to grab power stars to go after Bowser who kidnapped Peach. And in Sunshine, he has to collect suns and clean up his name while chasing Junior. Protagonist starts at point A, go through hurdles to reach point B and save the day. That's it. That's writing 101. This isn't even frying an egg. This is just boiling an egg and adding salt later. This is as straightforward as it gets. And somehow, the writers this up badly.
I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Yeah, what people said about this movie having a nostalgia bait reference extravaganza filled with Easter eggs is true. But the thing is, you can have a gigantic toy or game commercial in the shape of a movie with a mountain of references crammed in and have a solid structure. The first Transformers movie was that. Here, you have a flimsy plot with lots of threads that go nowhere and baffling decisions that serve no reason besides eat up screen time. There are sections that are literally unshamed, unabashed filler with extremely annoying toddlers because they'd rather have silly bouts than flesh out characters. This is just a pile of references and Easter eggs glued with spit and goodwill. On the positives, everyone around here are less of jaded cynical jerks. I myself braced for impact when Peach returned onto screen, but was glad to see that her condescending attitude was toned down. It's still there, but more toned down. Mario as well is less of a reactive firecracker and so on. In exchange, the whole cast is immensely stupider now to make things happen, sadly. And this is what baffles me. That happens because barely anyone has time to talk to each other. This movie's plot and the need to shove action set pieces and weird jokes, all this filler, all these references, something that was theoretically detrimental to the writing, acted in its favor. It hints at possible plot lines and branches and then immediately abandons them. It doesn't know where to go and what it wants and thus shoves filler after filler, but because it doesn't know where to go, we lack the awful attempts at character development from the first movie. The writing here is so thin, characters important to the plot literally just disappear. That out of the way, Yoshi isn't annoying as everyone feared, he is actually useful to the plot, and Bowser Jr. is a good antagonist. It shows how he is a threat and his dynamics with his father are simple and straightforward. The humor is still elimination, relying a lot on awkward and weird humor. Most of the time it doesn't work, especially with scenes with Mario and Luigi or Peach, but I'd be lying if I didn't chuckle once or twice, especially the parts regarding Bowser. Those were actually entertaining because they are cheesy, and because Jack Black seems to be the only one besides Donald Glover that liked being here. Basically, it's better than its predecessor because the characters aren't cynical jerks with each other and there isn't a sense of forced lessons to be learned. But on the other hand, the writer doesn't know what to do between people going on a quest and they win. So yeah, this isn't an unholy abomination akin to The Room, but from a story writing perspective, it's absurdly baffling. It's still entertaining. It's clearly nostalgia bait, so if you're into this kind of thing, no judgment here. But by the power of the wishing star, do not even try to think about the plot or else everything will crumble. On soundtrack, it's still Brian Tyler. It's still reimagining the musical score from the game, so there is very little to say besides that it's still one of the highlights of the whole piece. And again, you hear several of the sound effects from games here. On the voice acting department, please just stop with these attempts to replace voice actors with Hollywood stars. Sure, sometimes there is an exception, like how I loved Mr. Wolf being voiced by Sam Rockwell, who synergizes superbly with Zazie Beetz as Diane Foxington, but those are exceptions to the rule, and the rule is voice actors are specialized in their craft, and just because someone is a good actor on screen or theater doesn't mean they will do some good voice work. Chris Pratt's performance ranges from okay to I'm doing this for a buttload of cash and the only reason I'm not phoning in harder is because they have a gun to my head. The only ones who seemed to be enjoying being in this movie were again Blackjack as Bowser, that's why his scenes are actually amusing, and Donald Glover as Yoshi. Yeah, but this still pales in comparison with good focused voice acting. It gets absurdly worse when you have a scene where Junior is interacting with the Kamek, because you have Benny Safdie, who seems to be trying his best but is clearly out of his range, contrasting with Kevin Michael Richardson.
A report from our intelligence. A mustachioed human has arrived in the Mushroom Kingdom.
No, you can't.
I will be the last, and you will go first.
Yeah, that guy with a frilly voice also voiced one of the most badass villains of all gaming. The skill levels are absurdly different. Yes, I know that this rant won't go anywhere because Hollywood needs star power to sell toys and I'm just a reviewer with barely 100 followers. But I also grew up with some of the best dubbing in the entire world. No, seriously, in the 80s and 90s, Brazilian voice acting was considered one of the best, the Japanese still being better, of course. And I needed to get this off of my chest. Whew. As for the final thoughts, yeah, this is a filler sandwich. All light shows, pretty effects, and Easter eggs. Basically, this is the kind of movie for old school gamers to take their kids to. It will distract the kids with all the bright colors and offer lots of brain popcorn to the adults in the form of references. That's the only kind of people I can remotely recommend this movie to. Bizarrely, it's at the same time a step above the original because this time they somewhat dropped the pretenses of trying for bigger lessons and just stuck with more video game logic, but it's a step down due to how scatterbrained, weak and messy it is. Good action and good camera, gorgeous visuals, superb soundtrack and a lackluster script. The more I think about the first movie, the more of the plot made me mad. To the point I made a review recommending that movie, nowadays I wouldn't do such. But here, the more I think about its plot, the more baffled and confused I got. So if you're looking for anything even remotely deeper or with a better structure, if you don't have kids that need distracting or if the nostalgia doesn't hook you up that much, go look somewhere else. And at best check this movie after it hits the streaming services. As for the spoilers, so the big thing is that Luma asks for help from Peach and she decides to go alongside Toad and leave Mario and Luigi to take care of her kingdom. Yes, this doesn't make any sense in the story or outside of it. She just writes a letter, which ends being a reference to Mario 64, and off to an intergalactic hub. She doesn't say why she's going there, so we viewers are left baffled, and not in a good way. Turns out she just beats a local mobster, who is another reference, meets with Fox McCloud, and then she just gets back with Mario and Luigi. So in the end, basically the writer separated the gang so Peach could shine on her own, but in a way that just eats a lot of time and for no particular reason, and makes the plot scatterbrained. I genuinely don't know why this happens here, and I will let you draw your own conclusions. A more skilled writer could pull off the same results while keeping the group together, or just given good reasons why they'd separate in the first place. I also don't know what the writers wanted to do with Bowser, because at first it's hinted that he will try to turn good, then he just turns bad again. It doesn't work because everything about him is a huge telling, not showing. They tell the viewers he's trying to get better, but doesn't show. No therapies, nor conversations, nothing but his paintings that still depict his unhealthy fixation with Peach, and Mario being a dick to him, constantly giving lame hints that he is going to betray them only to pull back at the last second. Then he meets his junior, the writing keeps giving weird hints that he is going to betray his son only to not do it. It's weird. And turns out that Peach and Rosalina are sisters made of stardust and Rosalina had to ditch Peach to save her. Yeah, it feels like a huge cop-out that brings more questions than any answers. For example, why Rosalina never contacted or helped Peach when she needed the most. Anyway, moving on. After the little Luma warns Peach, it transforms into a jump star and disappears from the plot. Kamek also just disappears out of nowhere. To end in a good note, one of the weird things that at first looked detrimental but ended helping the writing was that the need to make a subversive joke made Fox and Mario get along, which nullified the jerk behavior. And at least Fox McCloud shows up and is competent before being shut down for comedic reasons. Poor Star Fox fans had it rough for so long. Well, that's all for today, thank you very much, see you next time and remember to like and subscribe.